which, like hundreds more in the United States, releases excessive amounts of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere each year.
We get half our electricity from plants like that one, and they are an enormous source of carbon dioxide emissions, maybe 35% of the carbon dioxide emissions in the U.S. from plants like the one behind me. You know, we have to find something else, you know? This is the fuel for the last century. You know, it's done its job, and we need to move on.
Together with China, the United States has the biggest reserves of coal in the world, billions of tons buried under the surface, just waiting to go up in smoke. And these two countries happen to produce the largest amount of emissions of CO2, far more than Europe and the rest of the world put together. In the country of business opportunities, the new golden egg is the selling of carbon coupons to allow individuals to offset their emissions of carbon dioxide. This is what bioengineering proposes, a large-scale manipulation of the environment to solve the issue of global warming. Giant space mirrors, injection of sulfur into the atmosphere, ice cubes in the ocean, or fertilization of the oceans. To achieve this, a lot of imagination is needed, and a bit of science.
If we just took one or two of these containers and put it on each ship and used the contents of that container as the ship was crossing the oceans to replenish the iron that's gone missing from the oceans, and in doing so restore the ocean pastures, the ocean forest, then the ocean plants would take care of at least half of the problem of humanity's carbon dioxide. And in doing so, it would restore the ocean, and we would have more seafood, and it would be very inexpensive compared to the cost of the shipping of goods.
Je pense que d'une certaine façon, c'est jouer avec le feu parce qu'on n'a aucune idée, ni de l'efficacité, ni des effets secondaires. Donc dans ce sens-là, c'est jouer avec le feu. C'est probablement aussi jouer avec le feu parce que laisser percevoir l'idée qu'on va pouvoir résoudre le problème du changement climatique et notamment de l'augmentation du CO2 par une technique quelle qu'elle soit, ça peut-être empêche de prendre conscience pleinement que l'enjeu, c'est la réduction des gaz à effet de serre, du CO2 et des autres. Et ça, c'est aussi un des dangers de la géo-ingénierie, c'est de détourner en fait l'attention du public, des politiques, de cette idée qui est l'idée majeure et sans laquelle on s'en sortira pas, c'est la réduction des émissions de CO2.
The scientific community is unanimously opposed to such commercial manipulation of the ocean, which could result in an increase of its acidity and kill all the sea life in the area. The atmosphere is very relaxed in this first European press conference by Todd Stern, President Obama's recently appointed envoy on climate change. A sweet taste of revenge for this former American Kyoto negotiator who decided to resign when the Bush administration refused to ratify the Kyoto Protocol.
There certainly are some years that are lost because of the policies of the Bush administration, which was not they were not so interested in trying to make rapid progress on this issue. On the other hand, I think we are definitely committed to making up for lost time. The president has put forward very ambitious efforts, both at home and the domestic side. And with respect to what we're trying to do in the negotiations for Copenhagen. So you can't get back the lost years, but you can't try to make up for lost time.
And along with the cap and trade program I've proposed, we'll reduce our dangerous carbon emissions 80% by 2050 and slow the warming of our planet. And we'll create 5 million new jobs in the process.
Which gave Todd Stern a few arguments during his visit to Paris to prepare future negotiations on climate change.
in Kyoto, the United States at the end didn't join, but also countries like China, India, Brazil, the big developing countries, also did not have any requirements to reduce their own emissions. We can't have that anymore. We need to have all of the major countries come into the agreement, work together, and start reducing their own emissions.
To implement its new policy on the environment, the Obama administration would be well advised to look towards Europe. The 27 European countries didn't stop, indeed, with the promises made in Kyoto. In 2008, and under the French presidency, Europe unilaterally decided to go even further and adopted the Energy Climate Package. Increase of 20% of sustainable energy sources, increase of 20% of energy savings, decrease of 20% of carbon dioxide emissions. But to succeed, we must first become aware of the real cost of our activities.
We have to indicate that there's a higher price on carbon than what people are paying in buying fossil fuels or whatever else is related to carbon dioxide emissions. And that's why if we want to move to a low carbon future, it's essential to see that we provide this price on carbon, which will lead to development of low carbon technologies and products and processes.
Brussels has finally set the real cost of carbon and is now implementing an impressive system of emission rights on 11,000 of the most polluting companies in Europe. Coal power plants, oil refineries, cement or paper industry, the companies in these sectors have been allocated quotas, and they will have to pay heavy fines if they exceed them. They can, however, decide to buy the quotas they are short of on the market. A few steps away from the Palais Brongniart, the Paris Stock Exchange, Blue Next is another type of stock exchange. The furniture is not all yet in place, but Serge Harry, CEO of Blue Next, intends to promote the image of his young company, the first carbon stock exchange in Europe. No dollars or equity at Blue Next. It is CO2 that is being sold and exchanged on the screens of its computers.
Je pense que pour bien comprendre l'activité de Blue Next, il faut revenir à l'engagement pris par l'Union européenne de demander aux 27 pays qui ont adhéré à la mesure de baisser leurs émissions de CO2 de 20% d'ici à l'horizon 2020. Alors pour baisser ces émissions, il y a deux engagements en fait. L'un, c'est de mettre un cap. Donc on va réduire progressivement le plafond d'émissions de chacune des entreprises des secteurs concernés. Et on va permettre aux entreprises qui font des efforts de réduction d'émissions de pouvoir négocier leur surplus d'émissions de CO2 sur un marché et donc de pouvoir le monnayer et peut-être utiliser cet argent pour faire des investissements qui diminuent les émissions de CO2. Blue Next est la bourse qui va permettre ces échanges de tonnes de carbone sur un marché.
Quotas were first allocated free of charge, but will soon come at a cost, and scarcity will make them more expensive. Companies which are lagging behind will have to join the effort, allowing the financing of new policies on CO2 savings by European countries.
Chaque pays, puisque ça va se faire pays par pays, chaque pays va pouvoir utiliser ses revenus tirés de la vente de ces quotas pour encourager des filières plus économes en émissions de CO2, des filières vertes, inciter certainement l'énergie solaire et d'autres énergies alternatives.
Europe may have found a way to transform its economy profoundly without damaging its industry in the process. After an hour's flight from the coast, Sleipner can at last be spotted on the horizon. Kai Lima manages the Statoil project and is now visiting one of the 32 Norwegian oil rigs in the North Sea. Sleipner T is one of his major prides. This is a strange outstation designed to capture the CO2 which comes out of an oil rig and to re-inject it into empty gas pockets at the bottom of the ocean. This world premiere makes it possible for the Norwegian petrol company to capture 1 million tons of CO2 every year and to make huge savings along the way. Throwing this back into the air would prove to be much more expensive indeed.